standard Node API added location fields. So here's our old image content type. We have some CCK fields added here. The one that we're interested in is the image field. Where did we go? File. Oh yeah, here we go. Our demo is going to retrieve this as one of the fields when we call the web service. So for the purposes of this demo, what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect to the web service, and then I'm going to call the web service. I'm going to call the web service with the latitude, longitude argument. Of course, there has to be something there first, so why don't I build a view that's expecting that argument. So let me go back into Drupal. And let me build a view. Let's call this demo. And we're going to select our old image nodes. And so let me select our old images that I just described. Type. We want those old image nodes. And for fields, let's just select the node ID and the node type. Let's see, what should we select? Let's go ahead and select the image. Let's just display this in a table right now so it doesn't look as vibrant. Okay, so right now what we're doing is we're just selecting all the old image nodes on this site, regardless of where they're from. What we want to do is we want to be able to supply, like I said, longitude, latitude arguments, along with a distance by which we want to filter them. So here's where we add in the location argument. And this is the result of some recent work that was done, not by me.
So I use k-means or something else? Like the algorithm for proximity?
Oh no, it uses the algorithm for proximity that existed in the location module previously, but this argument where you could actually pass in latitude, lat long coordinates, and a distance filter, that didn't exist before, and so that's in there now. And I'd say previously that was probably the only thing that was blocking this. So what I want to do is I want to say, okay, I want to to be able to pass in an argument specifying a decimal latitude, decimal longitude, with a distance at the end. I'm going to go with miles. Let's say circular proximity just to keep it true. And let's hide the viewer if there are no results. And well, as you just saw, there are no results now because it's expecting an argument and that argument is not present. So I'm going to pick a latitude. I'm going to go get a latitude, longitude that I can supply as an argument. And for the purposes of this demo, I just wrote a simple script for doing that. And does anybody know the latitude, longitude offhand? I'm just gonna geocode the location of the ISL office. That's San Francisco. CA. Okay. So I have a latitude and longitude here.
Is that little script doing it through the location modules, the geocoding, or direct through the APIs?
Oh, it's doing it direct, but I copied a lot of the actual code from the GMAP module. So now we have a latitude, longitude, and if you remember that we also want to specify the search radius distance. So let's make it 1/4 of a mile. Now if I preview, it should show me everything that's within 1/4 of a mile of the office. It looks like there were more than 10 results. Let me get it to display them all. So yeah, these are all landmarks that are within 1/4 mile of 944 Market Street. Because there's too many results, let me just shorten that down to 1/10 of a mile. Okay, now we have a more manageable list.
That distance, proximity filter, or argument, it takes in the latitude, longitude as well. So I know there's a separate argument just for latitude, longitude. It's not like one is just for proximity and one, there's two separate arguments, it's just one?
Oh yeah, it's all one argument that latitude, comma, longitude, underscore distance. So it all goes through as one single argument. So I could think of one thing that's missing. We just filtered by distance. What can anybody think of what's missing? Yeah, there. We would like to know how far these search results are from the actual search point. So here's where it kind of gets a little bit hacky, as often is the case with the location module. One of the fields that we're going to select, we want to be able to select the distance. So let's go back to the location field. Select the distance. Select it in miles. And here, ideally, we could just recycle the latitude, longitude that gets used as the view's argument. But that is not an option here, so this is where it does get hacky. We have to specify that on the code level using PHP code to pull the argument from the view object. So here's where I would do it. Let's just say so the lat long was separated from the search radius by an underscore. Oh, yeah. And the lat long are separated from each other by a comma. And what we want to do is return as it says here, we want to return an array where we've set these two keys right here.
And the reason you have to do it this way is because you're using a views field, you're using a field, and the fields have no way to know what the arguments are, right? There's basically no way around that, right?
No, it's just, I think it's through a deficiency of the actual implementation. And, you know, like the resources to put in a patch for that.
Sure.
I think it exploded in one place and exploded in another.
Oh, do I still have it exploded? Oh, I see what you're saying. Ah, thanks for catching that. Let's just call that distance. And now it tells us, okay, this is how far your search results are in this distance column. One more thing that it would be nice to do is to actually be able to sort by distance in ascending order, because often, as is in these cases, when you're searching for stuff, you want to know what's closer to you and well, what's close to you, but you would prefer at the top of the list to see what's closer to you. So similarly, the way we just kind of had to compute this latitude, longitude to pass is the parameters for computing the distance from your search point. We will have to do the same thing when we're specifying the sort field. So here we want to sort by location, distance, proximity. Same thing, paste the same code, update in ascending order. And now we get the search results in ascending order of proximity or distance. So now let's do the services part of this. Let's set up a web service that calls this view. The fact that we've already built this view means that the web service already exists once you enable the services. So if I go to site building, services module. So I have a bunch of servers here, and the server I'm going to use is a JSON server. And you know, these are the services that are available. I probably enabled them previously. And the one that we're interested in is views get. So these are the parameters it takes. But before we call views get, well, first of all, I've configured my services module to require a session ID. It's not necessary for this example, but I just like to do it simply because if you implement a mobile application where a session ID is important, where like a user might have an existing account, you're going to want them to authenticate. You might have your application creating session values for whatever reason, so it's in there. So before we call views get, we're going to call another service for actually just connecting, and that is the system.connect method. So if we go back to the command line, so I have a template for a script here for each call I'm going to make to the web service. Let's go ahead and see what's inside that file. I'm going to include a file with some utility functions. One of them is just for making an HTTP request, since that's how we're going to call the services. What I did for this example is I just copied Drupal HTTP request and then modified it